It's your man 100 grand Ross with The Rock Never Stops. Yo, today I want to talk about a cool little topic. Hang on one second. Settled in here. Just my monitor a little bit. Oh, it's a little bit better. A little bit better for me. All right. We're going to be talking about Cade Cunningham. This has been, I'm going to be honest, it's been an up and down season for Cade Cunningham. Not necessarily merely productivity wise, but efficiency wise, style of play wise, um, expectations, playing within the system. There are many different ways in which we're watching Cade. I'm not going to say have to adjust, but how he's learning to evolve as an NBA player, as an NBA superstar. And I think it's easy to not kind of see that because of the fact that he's been getting so much notoriety, so much acclaim, and it's not necessarily like he doesn't deserve it, but it's to acknowledge the fact that now he's getting his just due recognition in a lot of ways, but he's also being asked to do more than he's ever had to be asked to do before this. He's being asked to be a leader. He's being asked to be the face of a team that everyone is gunning for. And that's a new experience. It's one thing to go out there and bust everybody's ass when no one is looking for you. It's one thing to go out there and put in work when you're the underdog, when teams don't really care. If I'm honest, most teams last season did not care when the Detroit Pistons came to town, even when it looked like we were going to be a playoff team. They were like, oh, wow, this team's having a great season, a good year. Okay, well, let's make sure we go in there and execute, guys. That was the energy. That was the energy. Hey, guys, let's go ahead and execute. Now, when Detroit comes to town, when teams come into Detroit, Cade Cunningham is at the top of their board, along with the rest of the Avengers, right? Isaiah Stewart, Jalen Duren, Asar Thompson, Duncan Robinson, who we nicknamed Hawkeye, appropriately, Jaden Ivey, Ron Holland. But at the front of that is Cade Cunningham. So today we're going to be talking about the jump, the leap that Cade Cunningham, I think, is potentially trying to make this season. But before we dive into that, as always, I appreciate this community, y'all coming together to support. I said support. Oh my goodness. What happens when you watch those New York Mafia movies? Um, Coming in to support your boy, your man, 100 grand Ross with The Rock Never Stops. As always, please, please, please smash the like button for me. Hit subscribe and the bell for notifications. Small thing for you. Remember, it's a small thing for y'all, but it's a big thing for the channel. So please do what you can. Like, subscribe, share. And if you would like to become a member, get that good yellow star, blue star. If you make a comment, we're going to talk about it. If you want to leave a super chat, we're going to stop and talk about it. But that's reserved for members, though. I appreciate all of y'all. Let's dive into it. Look, I love the game of basketball. Let me just start off with that. I love the game of basketball. And one of the things that I love most about it is the journey, of growth. I remember Kobe Bryant as a rookie, LeBron James as a rookie, Carmelo as a rookie, D Wade as rookies, let alone Jaylen Brown, Brandon Ingram, Joel Embiid, guys like Jaleel Okafor, and yeah, Jabari Parker, right? Like guys that we might have forgotten about already that were at the top of their draft. Guys who came in like Derek Williams with a lot of acclaim out of college and fizzled out, right? There's so many guys that come into this league. I remember Kyrie Irving, Jason Tatum, Anthony Edwards, LaMelo Ball. You remember all the different narratives about these guys. Paolo Banchero, Franz Wagner, Evan Mobley, and you see how they continue to grow. You see the journey. You recognize that not everybody makes it to the top. That's not a journey for everybody, but the journey is still theirs. It's still theirs. And the hard part, I would say, in my position, is understand the business side of it, understand what's oftentimes happening behind the closed doors in the office rooms. And, I always say the salary cap is just that. It's cap. It's BS. These owners are making anywhere between 3 to 4 times what they pay the entire salaries worth of their roster. 3 to 4 times. And all the business dealings that have to do with being a team owner. But then they say, hey, we might be losing money. And they only kind of tell you about a certain aspect of the money, strictly basketball related, as if you don't have other businesses that are in concession with being an owner, that you don't have business dealings, that you get the notoriety specifically because you have the profile of being an NBA team owner. Now, all that's to say, I digress, is that by the time that you start factoring in these politics, right, you start factoring in the human aspect of being a human being and you get drafted, right? Imagine getting drafted. You get out of school to be an engineer. Let's say you get out of school to become a teacher. You get out of school to become a carpenter, right? You're doing a you're now going to become an electrician, a plumber, whatever, auto mechanic. And all of a sudden they go, you got drafted to Iowa. And you're like, I mean, no shade to anybody in Iowa, right? Say you get drafted to go work in Arkansas, right? Kansas. You just get drafted. And you're like, huh? They're like, yeah, you just got drafted. Otherwise, you can't participate in this field. Wait, what? I can't participate in this field? Like anything? Like at all? Like I'm the best in my class, valedictorian, right? So there's like a human factor of this experience of being a professional athlete, right? Then there's the whole chemistry and everything else that we talk about on this channel. All that's to say is that as we evaluate a player's journey, and in particular in this video, we're talking about Cade Cunningham. As we evaluate a player's journey, there are different things that we're looking for to really understand what's taking place in front of us. Sandro, it's good to see you back in the chat, brother. We're talking about Cade Cunningham's leap this season, what it's looking like. Right now, when we look at Cade Cunningham, I think the leap that he's taking is probably one of the most important leaps, especially for a young, dynamic scoring guard or player, period, is the game of efficiency. What's going on, Attila the Hun? It's good to see you in the chat. The game of efficiency. I've said multiple times, Cade Cunningham has to learn how to pick his spots, not just within the flow of the game, but also to know where his spots are at. Where are his spots? Where are the areas of the court that you know that you can be a high volume shot maker? And what are the shots that you have to improve upon? That I would say most importantly is probably his 3-point shot. Now, the last game against the Bucks, you can see he's settling into his 3-point shots better, getting more arch on his shot. He shoots a pretty flat jump shot outside of Kawhi Leonard and maybe Michael Jordan. A flat jump shot really many times is an inefficient jump shot. But it's to say that you see more arch. You also see him doing a better job of attacking gaps in the paint. And I think that what we're seeing from Cade Cunningham is a recognition that the team no longer needs him to put on his cape. This team is more than talented enough to take the steps forward, to take the strides forward, to be able to be a dominant team. They're 19-5 without him trying to be a hero night in and night out. And when I say trying to be a hero, I mean that you are intentionally trying to take over games. You're taking multiple back-to-back-to-back shots. You're calling your number, play after play after play, and you're basically saying, look, guys, I know I can pass to you, but this is my moment. There's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of intensity of defense. And many times this could be a very reasonable call. The last 3, 4 minutes of a game, defense gets tight. Guys are playing at a maximum. Um, they usually have their best unit in there flying around. Shot quality is going to get lower. Guys are a little bit tired. They don't have their legs into their shot. Their arms are a little short in terms of their release. And what ends up happening is guys start missing more and more. And you want the ball in the hands of your better players who can make those plays. And so Cade calls this number. And what oftentimes happens is that he begins to just take over. And he's scoring every bucket for us down the stretch. But if I'm honest with you, many times this is also coming with a lot of turnovers. It also comes with some bad defense. It also comes with uh, Cade against the world that if he can't do it, no one else has it going. Now, like I said, we're 19-5. It's not as if this hasn't worked to a large degree. We got into the first round of the playoffs last year. Didn't even have to be in the play-in. But for the next step of this team, the next step, the growth and the evolution of this team, the goal should always be, how do you disperse that load as much as possible so that Cade and every other player can place their energy in other areas to maximize their effectiveness. What are these areas? Let me be straight up with you. Defense is the first one. Cade struggles with his on ball, off ball defense. Sometimes he's not in the stance. Sometimes he loses track of his man off ball. He gets stuck ball watching. Sometimes there's a closeout moment and he fails to put his hand up. Sometimes his man is attacking him off the bounce. He stays high and he's playing defense with his hands. Now, I'm not saying these things as if Cade is a bad player. Please, best believe I'm saying these things because this is the leap. This is the jump. This is the evolution of what it means to become a star versus a superstar. A star or superstar versus a champion. An all-star who's perpetually all NBA. All NBA to MVP candidate. I'm going to be honest with you. If you're not in the top 3, you're not really an MVP candidate. They extended out to 6 or 7 because it's kind of like, all right, sure, why not? Let's get some other people hyped. Let's get some other people thinking, hey, my guy could be the next guy, right? That's cool. That's cool. Now, I'm also on the side here, just a side note. I'm watching a replay of the last game against the Milwaukee Bucks. I think it's probably Cade's best game yet in terms of playing within the team flow as a unit. But I would say this. As Cade learns to use his team, as he learns to use his team, as he learns to maximize his potential on the court. I just watched Cade do a chase down block on Kyle Kuzma. 6'10" Kyle Kuzma. Chase down block, saves it back in bounds, and the Pistons going the other way. Sandro, you always laugh, bro. You always laugh. But I'm watching Cade make these plays, and I recognize that he has the ability to be a dynamic defensive player. A dynamic defensive player. And for this team to make the jump, and the jump that I'm talking about is becoming a championship contending team. This team is 19-5. They are going to need Cade Cunningham to be a consistent, high-level defensive player who still has the ability to pace himself, to get his numbers, and also close for this team as needed. You see, the best teams, I've said this before, play at a level 8 all year long. Consistency is the name of the game. And they force you to play great at a level 9 or 10 in order to beat them. That's a reality. They force you to play at an extremely high level to be able to beat them. But the best teams also play at a level 8. They also play in a way that forces you to be great. And this is when we're going to need Cade to be great down the stretch. But here's the thing, we all know that the NBA season is a marathon. It is a marathon of a year. If you have to be a hero in October, November, game in and game out, you're not making it to April and May. You're not. Exactly. Great point, Sandro. Best teams have another gear they can go to if needed. Kevin C, it's good to see you in the chat. Even Jordan wanted Steve Kerr to shoot the winning shot. It's very true. Very true. And John Paxson. That's where he did it first. Stephanie Williams, what's good? It's good to see you in the chat. It's good to see you in the chat, Stephanie. Yes, Detroit definitely needs to make improvements to their team. Very true about MVP. It is a very selected group. You see, right now, Cade Cunningham's numbers look great at face value. 27.5 points, 6.5 rebounds, 9.5 assists. When we get to percentages, though, 45% from the field, which is like league average. 29% from three. 29% from three. Efficiency is the difference between playing at a high level and being the volume scorer that borderlines ineffective. There are a lot of guys who can get you a lot of numbers. It's not a lot of guys whose numbers will translate to winning when it matters. LaMelo Ball is probably the best example of this. Is he a great talent? Yes. Is he exciting? Hell yes. Fantastic, dynamic talent player? Yes, 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 yes. And in the play-in, because he's never been to the playoffs yet, which is kind of wild to think. While Anthony Edwards, who was drafted 2 places ahead of him, has been to the playoffs perpetually for the past 3-4 years. Now, they were smart enough to get an all-world defender to anchor Anthony Edwards and to create a team culture around winning, which Charlotte has definitely not done. But it's to say that LaMelo Ball has never played a playoff game. Ever. Ever. We have never seen him. He's never been able to make it out of the play-in tournament. I don't even know, if I'm honest with you, I don't even know if he's ever made it to the second round of the play-in for a chance to get into a playoff position. Not everyone's talents, not everyone's abilities translate the same way. For Cade Cunningham to take that next leap for this team, he has to become efficient. He has to play within the flow of the offense. He has to play in a way where he can become an effective player, an effective all-around player. When you think about the greats, D. Wade, LeBron James, Michael Jordan, right? Scottie Pippen, Hakeem the Dream, even Shaq, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, right? Tim Duncan. Talking the greats here. Dr. J. The best of the best, all-time greatest. Their ability to contribute across the board consistently at a high level was something that you didn't have to question. Isaiah Thomas, Magic Johnson, Larry Bird. They may not have been all-world defenders, but they knew where to be. They knew what the scheme was. They knew what the play was. They knew what was expected of them. They executed. They did their part. Stephen Curry, one of his major leaps was going from a subpar cone of a defender to a reliable average defender. Because a reliable average defender with Draymond Green, Andre Iguodala, Andrew Bogut, these all-world defenders around him. Now that defensive floor for the team was raised significantly, and the rest is history. Kobe Bryant, I can go through and through and through. Kevin Durant, they all make this leap. Kyrie Irving, champions make this leap. To get to the finals, you must make this leap. It's why, honestly, I don't see the Knicks. I don't really take the Knicks that seriously. If your two best players are absolute cones on defense and aren't locked in. Now, I haven't been following the Knicks as much this year. I'm kind of a wait and see for this year. How they look in the playoffs. That's really where I'm going to assess them. But right now, as I've seen from last year, if your two best players are cones on defense, I don't see it. I don't see it. I do think OG Anunoby at his best can be an all-world defender. I mean a guy who can lock down, has extreme talent on the defensive end. Mikal Bridges, really good talent on the defensive end. Mitchell Robinson, Josh Hart, Deuce McBride, right? They got a lot of insulation. But when you have to have your best five on the court, a lot of that insulation doesn't mean as much. Because as most teams have figured out, you just put Brunson and Towns in a pick and roll over and over again, over and over again, over and over again. And they're going to be in trouble. Now, as far as Cade Cunningham, one of the things that I recognize also about this change that I believe I'm seeing more and more, Cade Cunningham playing within the flow of the offense, focusing more in other areas on defense, rebounding, setting guys up, making the simple play, the simple pass, right? I'm watching this game here on the side. I don't know if you can see the reflection on my glasses, but I'm watching Cade's style of play in this last game against the Milwaukee Bucks. And Cade Cunningham is picking and choosing his spots. He looks very relaxed. And if I'm honest, to a large degree, I mean, the Bucks don't exactly have an all-world defense, a shutdown defense. They don't. They don't. They do have some good defenders, though. Whether it's Ryan Rollins, whether it's Andre Jackson, who was deployed in this game, whether it's, I mean, Miles Turner is solid. You know, they kind of short on that end. But to see Cade pace himself, first quarter, he's subbing out with 8 points, 5 assists, 3 rebounds. Knocks down 2 threes, gets a floater. But he's pacing himself. He's playing the defense, getting the boards, doing the other little things. And this is on the second night of a back-to-back. Watching Cade Cunningham play this style, what it does is it opens up the game for his teammates. Because remember, there's a phenomena that I learned. So my undergrad in psychology, my grad work in psychology was preceded by my undergrad in kinesiology. And my goal at the time was to go and do a master's in sports psychology or psychology of sport, is what it was titled at my university. And so I was taking a whole bunch of psychology of sport classes. And one of the ones that we learned about was this phenomena that on teams, when you have an elite talent, the higher up that elite talent is, like let's take a Michael Jordan, a LeBron James, Kobe Bryant. I'm talking about a physical specimen. Victor Wembanyama, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, that guy. The guy that just physically, athletically, Shaquille O'Neal, right? His height, size, length, athleticism, his talent, skill level. When you have that guy, there is a natural phenomena amongst the team to defer, meaning that there's an unconscious bias in their team to relent to or be content with giving that person the bulk of the responsibility. Because unconsciously, they see that guy as being more worthy of doing more because they see them as plain and simple being better, being better. Now, here's the thing. Here's how you flip that around. Same thing that every great player has to learn to do. How do you empower your teammates so they raise their level of play? So you can conserve your energy so that the defense can't just load up on you, that they have to focus on everyone else. That makes the game easier for you. And it allows the other players to contribute in a major way when you need them the most. This is why John Paxson and Steve Kerr could hit game-winning shots in the NBA Finals. It's the reason why big shot Robert Ory could knock down big-time threes with the Houston Rockets and Hakeem the Dream Olajuwon, or knock down big shots with Shaq and Kobe, right? The Derek Fishers, right? It's why certain guys can step up in the way that they do because they're empowered, not just by the coach's scheme, but also by how their star player plays with them. One of the things that Kobe had to learn after Shaq left was how to be a leader. Talked all that shit about Smush Parker. Talked all that shit about Kwame Brown, everyone else, right? Scored 81 points. He was a first round exit. Same people that you're talking shit about, you need. So what do those people do? They defer. All right. You're getting paid the most. You're the star. Everyone's talking shit about me. Why would I want to shoot? And if I stop shooting, what happens? The defense focuses that much more on you. It's kind of a circular dynamic. Sandra in the chat, good point. Passing is not the only way to empower your teammates or to get them to open or to get them open. Sometimes you just have to use your gravity to get the attention off of them. But here's the thing, sometimes you also just have to defer. In other words, if they got the ball, you go do something else. Don't just sit there and stare at them. Go set a screen for somebody. It's the same thing that Chris Paul would argue with James Harden in games about. I don't know if you all remember. But Chris Paul would get mad at James Harden because in the middle of the game, as Chris Paul's trying to run offense, you see James Harden standing at the top of the key, not even at the top of the key, at the half court circle, just watching. And they're playing 4-on-5 while James Harden takes the play off. And he's like, yo, bro, we're not going to win this way. Yeah, teamwork makes the dream work. But how this happens takes intentionality. We may have had to lean heavily on Cade Cunningham last season to really just take the reins and right the ship so everyone knows, okay, we have a North Star. We have a direction that we're going in. This guy is taking us that way. Okay. Now everything falls in line. And this is important on every team. You have to have a guy that allows everything else to fall into place. Yeah, hot take. Off-ball movement is one of the most important things about basketball. It's smart basketball. There's an offense that I used to run. I went to now it's a more popular offense, but I got a chance to go when they first launched this offense called Read and React. Read and React. And essentially what it was it was a way to place into drills teaching grown men, adults, women, athletes, how to play smart basketball, but breaking it down into set features. So positioning, uh, proximity to your teammates, how to move not just off the ball but with the ball, right? Like if someone drives to the left, you move to your left if you're on their left side. Don't just stand there and allow them to close the gap, and their defender can now or your defender can now become a help defender, right? How to move with them so that you pull your defender with you. all these different things. It broke down into plays that allows you to learn how to play smart. And when I say smart, I mean the ability to perceive what's needed in the moment that allows you to maximize each opportunity down the court for your team to be able to score. Maintaining spacing, right? Balance, positioning on the court. There's a big difference between being at the nail on the elbow of the free throw line and being 2 feet off of it. Because at the nail on the elbow is now about 12 to 15 feet from the wing at the 3 point line. But if you're 2 or 3 feet towards the wing, now you're about 9 feet, 8 feet from that person with the ball on the wing. And as a result, your man is now a help defender to the guy with the ball on the wing. Versus if you're at the elbow, now there's a gap, right? These are the little things that coaches see in abundance. And many times it also pisses us off because when you see a guy out of place, you're like, bro, come on, we talked about this. The play that we're running, we need a certain amount of spacing. And when you close that gap, you ruin the spacing. You ruin the spacing. You don't allow us to get into position. You don't allow us to effectively run our offense in our plays. And some of these plays, it may seem like a small thing, but some of these plays are literally to unlock guys that you're going to need at the end of games. Let's say Jaden Ivey hasn't knocked down a shot yet, and you're into the second quarter. We need to run a play for him to get him going. So let's run this play, but you're out of position. It's the little things. For Cade Cunningham, he's learning how to do the little things. He's learning how to do the other things that contribute to winning. And I know this might be a more technical conversation, but it's a really important conversation to understand what you're seeing on the court, to understand the difference in what guys are being asked to do. When you have the ball in your hands, everything is evolving around you, and all you have to focus on is making the play. Okay, where everyone else is, you want to know where the gaps are and know where you're trying to get to, but you can somewhat hyper focus with the ball in your hands. When the ball is out of your hands, you have to play a different game. You have to focus on what the person with the ball is doing. You also have to focus on what everyone else is doing. I'm watching this play here in the game. Jaden Ivey gets the ball on the wing. I'm gonna rewind it a little bit because he's actually going to turn the ball over. So Jaden Ivey's going to get this ball on a swing from Javonte Green, attacks from the corner, tries to dump it off to Paul Reed. He's in the paint. He tries to give a chest pass in the paint. Immediately, Jaden Ivey recognizes his mistake, puts his hand in the air. My bad. Now, here's the thing for a lot of coaches, this is everything. Does a player recognize when they've made a mistake in real time? Most coaches aren't as upset when you recognize your mistake in the game as when you seem oblivious to it. As when you seem oblivious to it. You putting your hand in the air goes, I know exactly what I did wrong right there. I know exactly what I did wrong. That shows you're processing in real time. That shows you're present. You're settled into the game. It's not too fast. It's not too hectic. It's not too intense. You're good. Sandro, bro, I love your comments, Sandro. Sandro is one of my funnest subscribers who comes through to the channel. Some of these questions are hilarious. Did you have a headband or an arm sleeve when you used to play basketball or no? Definitely not the arm sleeve because I felt it was corny. I felt like dudes who came with all the sleeves and all the stuff really couldn't hoop. Where I was from, I didn't know a single dude who had an arm sleeve who could hoop. Not at all. The headband, I had locks or I had braids when I was in high school, and I had locks later on. Um, Sometimes I would do a headband to kind of hold them back in place a little bit. Uh, Sometimes to keep sweat out my eyes and stuff like that. But sometimes it was also itchy. I didn't like it when it would itch. You know what I mean? On the inside. All that's to say, I didn't do too much of that. ER, I played point guard, man. I was always a point guard. I was a shooter first. I was quick, I was fast, but I was short, but I could shoot. I had a lot of arch on my shot early on. I could shoot over taller people. I had an older sister who was about close to 6 feet tall by like the fifth grade. She was like 5'9", 5'10" in the fifth, sixth grade. And I was like, uh, shoot, I was probably like 4'5" or 4'9". Yeah, I was a year younger than her and about a foot shorter. Um, and so I had to learn how to shoot high. 'Cause she was a basketball player too. She could hoop. She could hoop. She was like Lisa Leslie out there. She could block your shot. She was athletic, and she played with a lot of intensity. We were very like me and my. If I'm honest, me and my sister were like Reggie Miller and Cheryl Miller. Like we just competed at everything. And she could beat me a lot of the times. And she was taller, bigger, more physical. So I just had to pick up a lot of stuff in order to compete against her. And being able to shoot over her was a big thing. So I was a young guy who's already had that, Stephon Marbury, if you can remember him, and that jump shot back in the day. But the Stephen Curry rainbow arching 3-point shot, I had that at a young age, like first grade, second grade. So I was always playing up. I'd be in the first grade playing in the third, fourth grade league, or I'd be in the second grade playing in the fifth grade, sixth grade league, right? Because I could shoot and I was fast. And I can also run all day because I played soccer before then. All to say is, as I got older, though, I wanted the ball in my hands. So I developed the handle, kind of started practicing all the time. I used to play s- Sunday through Saturday, right? All week, 7 days a week. Um, yeah, Marbury with the part in the middle of his head. But I would say like some of my more significant leaps in my game, one of which I used to practice different moves all the time. I used to practice all the time. I used to read these quotes in Slam magazine. And a lot of them were from like great players, so I would just do that all the time. Ray Allen said, if you can't shoot with one hand, you can't shoot with two. So you would practice shooting like off the dribble, turn, catch, shoot with one hand. I was like, bet, practice that all the time. Kobe Bryant was like, you have to fall in love with the process. And he said you have to imagine when you're working out that there's a player you haven't met yet who every time you're not training, he's training. Every time you're just chilling and relaxed, he's on the court. And you got this imaginary competition that's waiting, that's putting in work that you're not putting in. And so that's who you're competing against. That's who you're getting out there every single day against. And so that's how I started practicing. I became that guy. But I think probably my biggest challenge was when I got to college. I didn't start playing. I didn't go and play JUCO right out of high school because I didn't really know about how to navigate that. I was just like, oh, I'm supposed to just fall into it. Either way, I had this. I was at this intramural league, and there was this teacher, and I used to get frustrated. I was like Gary Payton. I used to talk shit. I used to talk shit to everybody. If you're on my team, I didn't care. I'd talk shit to everybody, especially if I didn't think you were good. I'd want to shoot all the time. I was a bit of a ball hog. People used to call me Kobe because I used to look like Kobe. I had a little fro, but I was also a ball hog. I was very competitive, played defense and all that, but I was a ball hog. I want to shoot all the shots. Um, but one day, this coach comes over to me, this teacher, and he's like pissed. He's about to kick me out the class again because I'm like cussing people out. I was a hothead, and he was like, "Yo, come here." Pulls me out the gym. I'm like, "Come on, man, whatever, man." And he was like, "Look, you're a good player, but if you're that good, you should be able to make your teammates better. Instead of getting angry at them because they can't do what you can do, why aren't you making them better? Saying you have the ability to make the game easy for them. You can draw their defender, you can set them up, you can tell them where to be, you can make the right pass, right? You can do all these different things to make them better. Like if you're so good, why can't you do that?" And I don't know, for some reason it just clicked. So I turned and I went from Kobe to LeBron. So I'd go into games, challenge myself to almost get a triple double. I'd be like, well, let me see if I can get at least 8 boards in this game and 8 assists. and score maybe 7 or 8 points. So I would challenge myself to be super efficient while also trying to make everyone better. I'd put them in position, tell them where to be. I'd set them up. I'd be like, stand right there in that corner, send the other guy away. I'd be just like LeBron. I'd be orchestrating the whole thing. Just I'd penetrate, blow by my guy because I knew I can get by one defender easy, draw the help defender, kick out, wide open shot, right? Just and then my favorite thing used to be I used to stack teams against me. So when everybody's picking up, I would pick not the worst guys, but I would let the other guy pick up the better players so that I could pick up the worst players. So I would have to be in that role, right? I used to find those little mind tricks to kind of make myself compete harder because otherwise it was just hard to find good competition. All that's to say is that it just really changed my style of play and my appreciation for those who could make others better. That is a real talent to make people better. And the reality is, you got to let them fuck up. If I could be straightforward, you have to let them fuck up. The biggest thing that I would do is I would tell them to be aggressive early in games. Go for it. And the moment they would miss the shot, the moment they would get the ball ripped, the moment that they would lose it, I'd be the first one clapping them up, patting them on the behind. Hey, good job. Hey, you're good. You're good. Hey, keep shooting it. Keep shooting it. Nah, that's good. You're good. You're good. Because that confidence booster, remember, it's about when you play with somebody better than you and they give you that confidence, it raises your level of play. So then by the time that the game gets closer, when it's like 9-11 and it's a 15-point game, we would be right in the thick of it and we'd be down coming back. But because everyone believes in themselves, they're making plays. And now they're bought into playing hard with me because they know that I believe in them and I'm setting them up. So now we're playing hard as a team, and there's no greater feeling. I'll tell you right now, there's no greater feeling than a comeback victory. The further down, the better. You come all the way back, there's nothing, bro. There's nothing better. There's nothing better, especially when you make the game winner. That was my favorite shit in the world. I know I'm getting a little off track here, but that was my favorite shit in the world. To be able to come back, sometimes we'd be down 10-5, 11-5, 11-6, going to 15. And I would be leading us on a comeback, setting my guys up. And then it would get close. All of a sudden now it's 9-11, going to 15. All of a sudden it's 10-12. All of a sudden it's 13-13. And then it's like your team is like, all right, bring us home. And they give you the rock and you're like, let's go. You're like, let's go. And you go to work. And because all your other teammates are hooping, the court is spread out. And the moment they help, you kick it to a guy who's ready to go. That's that Chris Paul. Chris Paul used to always talk about that. You say, hey, I would focus on setting my guys up for the first half of the game to get them going so that by the time I start taking over in the second half, right, they can play off of me and they're confident. They're playing at a high level. Right. So there's a method to this madness. When I see Cade Cunningham, to bring it all full circle, you know, yo, what's going on, Trey Miller? Yo, welcome, welcome. Uh, there's a method to this. So when I see Cade Cunningham taking these strides and these steps, I recognize that he is understanding the long-term vision. We're trying to win a championship. And this is what's scary about it. I said our real window is next season. But here's the thing, and this is about life. This is about, and I'll probably talk about this as I close it out. Um, you don't know when your moment is going to come. You don't know when your moment is going to come about life. And so you can't necessarily project all the time and say, like, oh, this is when we'll have an opportunity for this. Sometimes the opportunity is going to come sooner. Sometimes it's going to be far later. I love books like The Alchemist. I got my nice little library over there. One of my favorite books is The Alchemist. I got my daughter reading it. Um, and this young man had this vision. He had this dream of his that he shoots for. But the thing is, the vision doesn't happen all at once. He has spurts and he has setbacks, right? It's years that goes by. All this to say is you don't know when your moment is going to come. And in sports, you really never know what your window is. Remember Grant Hill, Penny Hardaway? We all thought we were going to have this long runway. I can go back to guys like Ralph Sampson, Bill Walton, right? Great players whose opportunity to be an all-time great, that window closed very quickly due to injuries, circumstances, etc. You don't know. Right now, we are 19-5. And what that means is that at 19-5, our team is in the position where we might be in the finals, bro. Yeah. Greg Oden, Brandon Roy. Yep. Yep. Kawhi Leonard's second half of his season. Uh, uh, Second half of his career. Right? Chris Bosh thought he was going to have a second act after LeBron left Cleveland. Len Bias. We don't know what this runway, this opportunity is going to look like. We are 19-5. Cade seems to be understanding the vision. We could be in the finals this year. Make no mistake about it. We could be in the finals, the NBA finals. Who do we fear in the East? Who do we really fear? Who are we really like? Come on now, like, let's be real. Ivy gets healthy, right? Ivy is 100% healthy. We got Duran rolling. He's an all-star likely this year, more than likely this year. We got Asar Thompson, all-world defender. I'm watching Asar get more and more comfortable scoring around the rim. I'm watching him knock down shots, right? Ghost Keeper, yes, yes. I don't fear any team in the East. Looking at Orlando, they can't seem to get healthy. The Knicks, their two best players don't play defense. Who are we really looking at in the playoffs that we would say we can't beat in a series of 7? JB Bickerstaff, more than likely, is going to be coach of the year. Is it just me with the inside? Yo, ourselves are really, we are our only competition. And this is why it's so imperative right now that Cade is locked in the way that he seems to be to buying into playing as a team. Cade Cunningham's ability to empower his teammates by deferring to them, learning to play alongside of them, moving without the ball. Ooh, Juan Harris. I want to talk about that in a moment. I am going to talk about that point in a moment. I'm going to talk about that point in a moment. Before I do, though, we got 29 people in the chat. If you have not already smashed the like button, please do. Remember, it's a small thing for you to do, but it's a really big thing for the channel. I really appreciate the community that comes together. I really appreciate all the people who have subscribed to this channel. I super appreciate the people who have become a member. Like, it may not seem like a lot to y'all, but if I'm honest with you, it always surprises me when people become members. They become subscribers. They really enjoy my content. I really just do this for the love of it. Um, I've kind of always been this guy to talk about sports in this way. And it's a beautiful thing to find this community and space to be able to share and open up and have these conversations. It's so dope. I appreciate it so much. Those of you who go from subscribers to becoming a member, man, I like for real, I ain't even cap. Like it hits me here. Like for real. I see the little blue star, the little yellow star. I'd be like, man, I rock with you, man. I don't know you, but I got love for you. And to know that you got love for me enough to become a member, man, I'm like, it's like a Christmas gift. I don't know. It just feels like it warms. I'm not one of these big time YouTubers, got 3.2 million, subscribers and living in a big house off of doing 2, 3, 4 videos a week. You know what I mean? I do 5, 6 videos a week for the love of it. All love. So I appreciate those who go from subscribers to members. When you hit the like button, um, I appreciate that, Sandro. I do. I do. All right. Let me get to my man Juan Harris's point here. Cleveland is the only team we have to learn to beat. I would say we also have to learn how to beat Giannis. He's someone else. And if I'm honest with you, we also have to learn how to beat the Knicks. And when I say learn, I mean we want multiple games of beating these Eastern Conference teams when they've got their guys. We didn't get Giannis. We didn't get a full game of Giannis. So we can't necessarily say we know what to do against that. We don't. I would not want a first round, second round matchup, especially if the Milwaukee Bucks get to the second round. That means something is clicked. And I keep telling y'all, Kevin Porter Jr. is him. He's an all-star level talent, all NBA level talent. You saw what he did to us. 30 something points. Check the box score again. He dropped 32 points, 4 rebounds, 6 assists, 4 steals, 1 block, only 1 turnover. Shot 70%, 68.8% from the field, 7 of 9 from 3. Kevin Porter Jr. is legit. Now imagine if instead of starting Jericho Sims, who played 30 and a half minutes for them and only scored 2 points. Imagine if that was Giannis. Right? It's a completely different game. And they got Rollins too. We have not learned how to beat these teams. And this is why it is so imperative that we play great basketball night in and night out. Not just good basketball. We need to play great team, focused, locked in basketball night in and night out because we are preparing to learn how to beat those teams consistently. That's how we will know we are ready. Because this could be our year. This could be our year. We have the talent between Duran, between Stewart, between Asar, Ivy, Cade, Ron, Dennis. We have depth. Tobias, B-Ball Paul, Karras, Duncan, right? We've got a squad, y'all. I don't fear any team, but we have to learn how to beat them. Learn how to take advantage of our strengths. Learn how to make the game easy. So when it has to be hard, we have the energy to play when it's hard. Like real talk. Because this could be our year. Remember Oklahoma City? I don't think we'll ever be this deep again. Yo, Ghost Keeper, one of my members. We have no idea what this team is going to look like after re-signing. More than likely. I'm kind of calling it now. Jaden Ivey and Jalen Duren get re-signed. Likely both of them at 30 plus million. We will be relying upon, and Dennis Jenkins will likely get re-signed too. We will be relying upon this core. We don't know the types of veterans we will get moving forward. Now, fortunately, we have enough of a core, and likely Tobias Harris potentially gets re-signed by us too. Mid-level exception. We still got guys like Duncan Robinson under contract, Isaiah Stewart, Karis LeVert, Asar, Ron, B-Ball Paul, Marcus Sasser, Bobby Klintman, Chaz Zanir. We have actually a lot of great depth, if I'm honest. Between Troy Weaver and Trajan Langdon, they have set us up really pretty for the future. We're going to lose Sasser? Maybe not. Here's the thing. If you got to re-sign Ivy and Duren for 30 plus million, I wouldn't be shocked if Marcus Sasser isn't playing a bigger role next season. I don't see too many teams trading for Marcus Sasser. Like I believe in Marcus Sasser. I think all of us believe in Marcus Sasser's talent. But let's be frank, he hasn't had the opportunity to prove his value in the league. He hasn't. This could be our year. We don't know what we'll have an opportunity to do this year that we may not have an opportunity to do moving forward. YY says Ivy's not getting more than 25. Bro, it's a long season. It is a long season. Here's the thing. We still got January, February, March, April. You telling me you couldn't see uh Jaden Ivey averaging 20 points a game on good efficiency by February, March, April? That's all it would take. That's all it would take to get him over 30. Now, the only thing playing in our favor is the cap constrictions and them being restricted and a team being willing to free up the cap space before they make an offer and waiting that 24 hours for us to match or not, which we likely do. I just don't see any of these teams being willing to do that. But I wouldn't be shocked. I would not be shocked. And that would just be the reality of it. Uh, Kingmaker, I completely agree. I completely agree. I feel like we really want to sign everybody, but there's an awareness from Langdon that Asar is on the way. Leave room for him in the cap. Well, I think the room for him in the cap is going to be Karis LeVert and Duncan Robinson's contracts uh, coming off the books. That is going to be how we clear up the cap space. By the time his new contract kicks in, which would be in 2027, 28, 2 years from now, Duncan Robinson and Karis LeVert's contracts will be lifted. And there's about 20, roughly close to 25 million that they would free up. You add in also the 11 he'll already be making, about 36 million. Right? Like these are the things that we have to consider, that we have to take a look at when it comes to understanding how all these things have to work out. This is also why we have Ron Holland, in case somebody costs more. In case somebody costs more. You know, I might be calling it right now, but I can see Jaden Ivey in a 3-point all-star contest. I think he's that good of a shooter. I think he is that elite of a 3-point shooter. We have a very talented team. These next couple of years, I think we will be in a championship window, just talent-wise, and the way it all fits together. I think Cade and Ivy are a perfect pairing. If they can only both be average to above average, consistent defenders, lights out. I think we figure out the rest. But let me just say this. I got to get off. If you haven't already had the opportunity to hit the like button, subscribe, the bell for notifications. If you would like to become a member, man, shout out to you. I appreciate you for real. Um, let me say this. It's my kind of word of the day. I was teaching my daughter this morning about the law of compounding, and also yesterday about life and change. And teach your kids valuable lessons like that. Like take time to pull them aside and teach them valuable lessons at a young age. They can hold more than you realize. And if you plant a seed early, it'll start growing earlier rather than waiting until they're adults, right? Plant the seeds you want to see growing early and then water them early on. That's what it means to be a parent. At least that's what I believe. Yesterday we talked about change and how life is not a straight line. It's not linear. It doesn't go straight across. It loops, it circles around. It's doing all of this back and forth, up, down, all around, right? That's how life takes turns for the better, for the worse, what you want, what you didn't want, unexpected opportunities, all these different things, right? Happening nonstop. But each turn of life creates change. And each time something changes, there's loss, but there's also opportunity. And those opportunities are what allow you to potentially be able to do things now that you weren't able to do before. And so we combine that with this law of compounding, where when you work on something or you're doing something over and over again, over and over again, whether you see a lot of gains or not, which is why as a trainer we used to say, come in on the days where you don't want to come in the most. Those are the days you take the biggest strides because of this law of compounding. That as you do something over and over again, consistently over a long period of time, you don't know when it's going to happen, but it will happen. You will take a jump. You might be at a level one, level two over the course of 2 years, and then you take a jump. And suddenly you're at a level 4 or 5, maybe at a level 3, but you take a jump. It doesn't just keep going straight up. And the more you work at something, the more diligent, the bigger the jump potential. And as change comes, many times the reason why we don't see the benefit of doing what we're doing in the short term is because we don't understand change. We don't anticipate change. And so we think, well, it's only based upon what I'm seeing right now, instead of based upon what may change in life that we may not foresee. That what I'm working on now prepares me to have an opportunity for what changes might be brought to me. And so it's important that we work on the things that we're drawn to, because many times the things that we're drawn to, we're excited about, we're passionate about, that come from inside of us, many times are also tied into where life is taking us. So when the turn happens, we are positioned to do certain things that we may not have been ready to do beforehand, that we may not have had an opportunity to do beforehand. And so it's important that you work on those things that are inside of you. I guess that's the point of this little nugget I'm dropping today. Keep working on those things inside of you. Keep working it, keep working it, keep working it. Because as change happens, you want to be ready. You want to be ready. You want to be able to maximize your opportunity. The reason why I was able to play college ball and had no coaching help, because I just kept working. Just kept working. No, I didn't go to the NBA. I didn't play in Europe. I didn't play in Australia. I didn't do all that, but I got to travel around the world playing basketball with a travel team. Got to go to and see Eastern Europe. I got to go to the Philippines. I got to go Mexico. I got to go in different places and hoop. I've had a great career in basketball, coaching, training, playing, all this stuff, traveling, getting paid, made a lot of money. But I had to prepare, and I didn't always see what opportunities may come about later on. So, if I could encourage y'all with one thing today, always keep pouring energy into the things that you love. Always. Don't stop. Don't stop. It makes a difference. It makes a difference. And the more energy you pour into it, you're going to be shocked. Change will happen. Sometimes it's unexpected change. Sometimes it's the change that you don't want. You may lose a job, right? You may lose an opportunity. Something will leave. Something will come. New relationship, right? A kid is on the way. All of a sudden, you kick into gear. Always keep working what's inside of you. Always keep pouring energy into it. Believe in fact, I truly believe that's the role of parents for children, is to help them to identify those talents and abilities and teach them how to pour energy to work into it. Make it fun, make it sustainable, not feel horrible and heavy. Right? That's why you're seeing so many basketball players, star players who have really strong parental figures, father figures, mother figures, who worked with them from a young age, taught them how to work their craft, to do what they love to do, because you have a higher. And I'll talk about this another time, but you have a higher learning and performance potential ceiling for the things that you really genuinely enjoy, rather than something that you don't. So if you're not successful or you don't like the job that you're in, you're far more limited. Even if you're very successful, you're far more limited than pouring that energy into something that you love to do. That actually raises your ceiling of potential. That allows you to perform at a far higher level. And to be honest with y'all, real success is doing what you love doing, and being able to do what you love to do in a way that sustains you and your family. Bro, there's nothing better. It don't matter if you're making 40 grand, 50 grand a year, 60 grand. If it's taking care of you and your family, and it's what you love to do, bro, you've made it. You have made it. You've made a life worth living. So, as always, it's your man 100 grand Ross, for the rock never stops. Hope you enjoyed this live. Smash the like button for me, hit subscribe and the bell for notifications. Become a member. If you do, all love and shout out to you. I look forward to seeing y'all. Remember, I'm on here 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, most mornings. Um, this is an interactive live chat. Hope you enjoyed it. Have an amazing day, and I'll see y'all next time. Peace.